Matthew, what is the fantasy outlook for Baker Mayfield going forward?
I think he's a low-end QB2 or a streamer, depending on the matchup. I think we're going to need to see more from him to roster him. However, depending on the size of your league, it might be important to know this, right? Because, again, you're going to have Cam Newton on a bye this week. You're going to have Alex Smith on a bye this week. We're going to talk about Jimmy Garoppolo, but it looks like if Jimmy Garoppolo was your quarterback, you're going to need somebody to replace him as well. Same with Tyrod Taylor. A lot of people were rolling with Tyrod. So if you're out there looking for a quarterback, I believe Baker Mayfield will have some fantasy value, but to me, from our perspective, his biggest asset is that he raises the fantasy value of the playmakers around him. And so there were a lot of people that invested in Cleveland Browns in this offseason, whether it's Jarvis Landry, whether it's Carlos Hyde, whether it's David Njoku, whether it's Duke Johnson. And I think the fantasy value of them, candidly, basically gets them to where they were drafted. Because I think they, for the most part, with the exception of maybe Landry, and I guess obviously Hyde had the big night Thursday night, you're talking about players that had sort of underperformed their draft position so far with Tyrod Taylor under helm. My expectation is that the offense will be a lot better under Baker Mayfield.
One thing I'd say about Baker Mayfield and people adding Baker Mayfield is that although we do play this game tactically, like we make moves that we think are sound, people also play this game emotionally. I won't be surprised if Baker Mayfield is added in quite a few leagues simply because of the intrigue of him being the number 1 overall pick in this year's draft and an exciting prospect at that.
He's a fun guy to root for.
Yeah,
it's a fun team to root for. It's a fun guy to root for. He played very well, looked really good. Everyone loves Not Cool Keith, so they feel a little bit of connection to Not Cool Keith if they pick up Baker Mayfield. But my expectation here, Field, is that obviously, look, Landry, Hyde, given the state of the tight end position, David Njoku gets a bump here. The interesting thing to me here is Antonio Callaway, because Baker Mayfield can chuck it deep. We have a very small sample size here, but when you go back to college, he is somebody that has no issue chucking it deep, and I was encouraged by the amount of targets that Antonio Callaway got on Thursday night. He got 10.